Hello and welcome to another episode of Unstoppable Overcomers. I'm your host, Dorothy Odell. Tonight's sponsor of the show is Camaraderie Rescue Mission with their 6-month Freedom Boat Club membership with over 350 locations to best serve you. We have a location for everybody. So buy your Camaraderie Rescue Mission t-shirt today and get your raffle ticket. It's only $100 per ticket, but the value of the membership is over $7,500. So it's a win-win situation for everybody. So go to www.tcrmi.org/shop to purchase your tickets today. As well, we also have Dr. Joseph Dettori with his Secrets in Depth. His book is filled with rich and detailed information on this gripping military factual thriller that shows the depths of darkness acquired after 3 decades of service. Get your copy today on either Amazon or Barnes & Noble. I have my copy around here somewhere. I'm in the process of reading. Actually, it's by my chair because that's where all of my books are. And I'm just going to bring up Julianne right now. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And I don't know if anybody knows, but I was just told 5 minutes prior to going live that there is a space rocket headed for an asteroid in 15 minutes. So breaking news. If anybody was aware of that, I had no idea. Did you have any idea about that, Julianne, before you came on here?
No, that was a really news flash for the day and super exciting to learn about.
There we go. So with that, like we said, it was a bang up day today and it's going to end that way. How cool is that, right?
It's perfect for us.
It is perfect because we're women of strong, independent women that can bust through anything. And, I'm super excited for the world to hear your story. So let's just tell, for those of you that don't have a clue who you are, just tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, my name is Julianne Williams, and I am a former healthcare executive working in the skilled nursing sector of healthcare. But more importantly, I, through all of that, have had a lot of personal struggles. And I think what I have decided to do sort of in this chapter of my life is help people, hopefully with some of the experiences I've been through, so they're not as difficult. So I was born with a heart defect and had to have surgery when I was 5 years old, which saved my life, and I'm very grateful for. And so I sort of started my life with a little bit of not really a bang. I started with a little bit of trouble. It's always been a little bit of a fight, but I didn't realize that was going to be a really important skill for me to have learned as a child. As I went through more things in my life, I have struggled with lots of health issues, although I'm very healthy right now, knock on wood. And I'm so grateful for that as well. Just keep, taking care of myself. But then I also married young, a really wonderful man that was my high school sweetheart, who then ended up with bipolar disorder. And so we were married for just about 15 years, together for 22. During that time, his bipolar disorder became, more and more difficult to manage as he got older. I think his life became more stressful. And but we were married and had 2 children. But when he was 38, which is about 17 years ago, he decided to take his life. And so the children and I have had to find a path out of that. And so that's why I say all of these struggles that I've had in the past, they prepared me for a couple of things. Number one, was really, really rewarding and wonderful, where I think I made a big difference for a lot of people. And that's what makes me happy. And then second of all, to be able to find a way to overcome the death and rebuild the life that we have now for myself and my children.
Right. Wow. I'm so sorry to hear that about your husband. And, we just never know. I have family members that struggle with bipolar as well. And it's just like, you never know, right? And there's some days I think, you know, maybe that's what's going on with me, but
Mhm.
you know, not to make light of the situation, but we never know what could ever happen, right? And just being aware and getting the help that you need. And we just finished up Suicide Awareness Month last month, and you know, I'm big advocate for veterans, and we're losing 44 veterans a day by suicide. So any way that we can help and get the word out. And that's why, you know, I definitely wanted you on the show to get the word out and say, hey, you know, in those moments, you know, don't give up, because there is always somebody there that you could reach out to and ask for help. So, you know, and that can't be easy, you know, being a single mom with two boys, and just really picking the pieces up after that. So I commend you for that.
Well, thank you. And that's, so I wrote a book, which I think that's how we got in touch. It's called Head Above Water, A Journey of Emerging Hope. And actually I have, I'm a co-author of an anthology that I actually today was able to get my pre-sale up on. It's called Unleash Her. And I have a chapter in that is more of my story, but a very different take on it. And something that we'll talk about today in the fundamentals. But, you know, I decided that I wanted to advocate for women, for folks who are experiencing health issues, and raising awareness, because you don't know. I mean, there's, you know, even though in the back of my mind, I knew there was a chance that my husband might take his life, you never really think that's going to happen. You know, you still feel like you have two beautiful children, you have a home and jobs. Life looks perfect. It's just tied up in a bow. So you just never think they'll really go through with it. And so if there would have been better treatment options, if people would have had more awareness of what the disease looks like and what could have helped, I think that he could have maybe made it. But certainly what I'd like is for other people to have their lives saved.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And like you said, there's right now, especially during the pandemic, anybody who's wanted, especially here in Canada, anyways, I'm not sure about the US, but anybody that wanted to even speak to a counselor, there is such a backlog right now
Mm-hmm.
because of all the people, um, you know, that are struggling with different things, especially with isolation and things like that. Now, yes, that was 15 years ago, but even 15 years later, we still have this backlog and this struggle of getting people help that they need, which is insane to me. So, you know, any chance that we can get to help anybody that is struggling mentally, or you know, thinks about ending their life, there's always a solution, guys, and just reach out. I mean, I would rather get a phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning telling me, you know, listening to you, and really sometimes people just want to be heard, you know, and sometimes people need the extra help. So, you know, and reach out to myself or Julianne, and we can definitely get you the help that you need. There is a suicide hotline now. And so definitely, uh, Scott here says the wait for mental health is unacceptable. Absolutely. And, and that's why Scott is also with an organization called Liberty OVE, which helps people with their PTSD. They've got it's called a CHIRP protocol, where they can eliminate someone's PTSD in 30 minutes. It's absolutely incredible, you know. And I actually last week, from some of the traumas that I had in my childhood, and well, recently with my father's death, I like, okay, I'm gonna push through every problem that I think I have, and help myself. And Scott did the protocol last week, and honestly, on a starting the thing, I was at a 5 and I went down to like 0. So everything was good. And that's why, like, people like you, Julianne, that truly help people as well, will always have a platform here.
Well, thank you. And I think, you know, we've put such a stigma on mental health. We forget that it's the same as having a cardiac issue or cancer or anything else. No one chooses to have a mental health problem. I can guarantee you my husband would not have chosen to have that much psychic pain, which also led to a lot of physical pain and other things that he had to deal with. So, we have to give people the opportunity to explore the care that they need without feeling like they are somehow damaged or not good enough, because the physical problem they're experiencing, because it's a physical problem, is in their mind.
Yeah. Exactly. Totally. And Moira agrees too. She goes, amen to that. No one chooses mental health issues. Exactly. Um, yeah. I could go on about that, but we're
I
here for
know,
you.
right? Well, and I think one thing I want to say too is that, if someone is, viewing this at some point and is really having a hard time deciding, is life worth it? Because and I'll tell you that after I share this in the second book, the Unleash Her, in my chapter with the other co-authors, shortly after my husband's death, actually almost drove my kids and I off a cliff. I decided it was just too much, but I literally stopped and I had to make a choice. And so, while I can't ever experience anybody else's darkness, I know I had some moments of very, very dark thoughts. And, looking back now, I know if he would have made the choice to be able to make it through with treatment, he would love his life now. He would love his children. They're beautiful. They're 25. My girl's 25. My son actually on Thursday is going to be 21. He would love every single thing about them.
Right.
And, we have missed him so much, and he has really missed them. So, there is always something worth living for, even though in the moment it may not feel like it. There really is. And the people that are in your life, they want you there. They really
Right.
do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I can testify that because there have been times in my life that I thought, okay, it would be easier if I just wasn't here,
Mm-hmm.
and there's something that I had to latch onto. My uncle took his life Christmas Day 24 years ago. So, and there's no answers. Like there is
Mm-hmm.
absolutely no answers. Um, I mean, there's speculation, right? But you really have no idea. And I didn't realize how much it affected me until 10 years later,
Mm-hmm.
when I was meeting people for the first time. I would still talk about it, and I'm just like, what the heck, right? And so I've made sure that I gotten the help needed to definitely move past that. And I remember back when my nephews were younger, I took them for their own photo shoot type thing over at back then. Was it Walmart's? Yeah, no, it was Walmart. I was thinking Kmart, but it was Walmart. Walmart had the photo
Mm-hmm.
shoot places there, and so I kept that photo. And for years, anytime I thought like giving up, I would have either that picture in front of me or I
Mm-hmm.
would visualize it, and that has kept me going. Even to this day, I still have the photo. It's in the drawer. I'd get it, but I'd have to go through so many wires to get it. It would
Yeah.
be like all night trying to get it. So keeping in mind that, and that in those moments, I get it. We don't think about that. We just think
Mm-hmm.
about ending the pain. We just think about that. It's just like, forget it. No one loves me anyways. I'm just going to get out of here, take my life, and who cares, right? No one will care. Because that's what they're thinking in those moments. Or that's what I thought. Anyways, I
Mm-hmm.
just want to go to some comments here. Christine says, untreated mental health issues have shredded our lives and family. Important to have support, listeners, counselors, when you have good mental health. Absolutely. I'm glad that you're choosing to live. My daughter had many years of darkness with her eating disorder. She attempted to take her life also, and now, thank God, she's choosing life. Absolutely.
It's amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what would you say has been what helped you get through those moments, then, Julianne? Because, like you said, they come up, but what helps you get through your moments?
Yeah. So, you know, I obviously had to take a step back and reassess my life and decide how I was going to make it, because I didn't feel like going on after my husband left us. And it seemed like too big of a task. And there were a lot of other things in the background, beyond just, having to deal with his death. I mean, I had financial things and all these things that were a part of that, that were pretty daunting at the time. But what really, for me, it's faith, family, and anchoring. And it's one of the things that you talked about. So for me, it's, and really about that anchoring is, first of all, always making sure that I'm making the right mental choice. And we'll talk about it with my little, when we know the fundamentals, but without giving that away. But, for me, anchoring is, what is it that I am living for today? What is it that I want to accomplish today? What difference am I going to make? That's not about me. Because when we take the focus off of ourselves, at least this is what I have found, then everything feels a lot more rewarding, because then the focus again is somewhere else, and your mind, your thoughts, your actions are around doing something that's positive and productive, and that you can look at and feel proud of. And that's something for me that was really important as I was, healing from those first years of grief. The other thing is, I've been extremely blessed with a beautiful and supportive family. My mom, my dad, he passed away 3 years ago, but he was with me during all that time. And my sister and brother and sister-in-law and nieces and nephews. I mean, we could not have made it without them. They helped me with my children, so that I could work, so I could take a really big promotion and recover financially. And, but one thing I had to learn was to ask for help through that.
Right.
Okay. So I've always been a fiercely independent person, never wanting to ask anybody for help. I had to learn to ask my family for help. And then the last thing for me really is my faith. And, I am a believer of Jesus Christ, and I know that I know he would not have probably wanted my husband to did what he did do, but I also know that if we trust him, that we can find ways to find peace in him. And really, again, anchoring back to knowing that there's going to be a bigger purpose to the life, that I can make my husband Alan's life something that is not, he's more than his death, and so that's what I'm trying to do now. And so my faith has always been a big part of that, knowing that he's in heaven and he's okay. And, I've had people say some ridiculous things to me. And for those people who are grieving, I have to tell you, I'm really sorry. I did a YouTube on it a little while ago about what to say and not say. But I mean, I've had people say things like, now, if someone kills themselves, they don't go to heaven. And it's like, that really wasn't nice. I've had the craziest things said to me. So there's the whole grief side too. But with all of it, faith has really been where I've been able to get the peace.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And you're right. Some people should just not say a damn word. Like, it's just, I've had that said to me too, after my uncle passed away. And I'm just like, seriously, out of everything you could have said, that is what come out of your mouth. If you don't know what to say, just shut up. Just hug somebody, give them a handshake, give them some flowers. And if you really have nothing good to say, stay away from them.
That's right.
There's my
well, and so I guess we talk about it for just a second, since I sort of brought it up. My thing is if you don't know what to say, you can actually say, I don't know what to say. I am really sad for you, and I don't know what to say. Because really, when you're grieving, all you want is acknowledgement, and just, no one can fix it for you. So you just want someone to say, look, I know this is a terrible time. And that's comfort, but I mean, I had a lady the day that, we found out in the middle of the night, the police came and got me out of bed, and because he had been missing for 3 days. And, the lady that he worked with came in and said, like, I told you not to leave him alone. And it's like, really? Because, it just floors me. So, and I think we're always well-meaning when we're talking to people, but I learned a lot about, what to say and what not to say. And I'm sure I still say things wrong, but the most important thing I learned is you actually just don't have to say anything. You can just acknowledge it.
Exactly. Myra actually says here, faith is important. got her through. Absolutely. Another thing that you said, take the focus off you, helps. And that is so true. I noticed that if I'm really struggling with something, you know, either death or a decision or something that seems like the mountain that's in front of me, if I go to helping somebody else, definitely that helps me. So I totally get that. And generally, when you focus on something bigger than yourself, um, God gives you the answers.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
He'll give you those things there. The what's the word I'm looking for? Plants or bigger bigger pictures anyways to focus on, because and sometimes when you're grieving, all you can think about is just getting through that next moment. So anything that could take your way away from that, and with having two children, having to be there for them.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard, when somebody lost twins when they were first born, and she still had two other children, and so she, for days, she would stay in bed and just not even be able to move. But then she realized, wait a minute, I've got two other children that I have to get up for. So, and again, that's another, just focusing on something else. So, um, totally, I totally understand that. So is that part of what's in your first book as well too? Like even tips on how to get through
Mm-hmm.
grief? Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's
Awesome.
I spend a lot more time on grief in that book, and in this next book that comes out on October 25th, my chapter, and it's 30 women that have uh, compiled their stories of strength. I talk more about resilience, and how those skills of resilience, and then I actually am writing a book. Well, a I actually have two more after that. I have another chapter in an anthology that'll come out, I think, by November. It's called Mom Magic, and I'm going to do a chapter in that about single parenting, because it's very different. And then my own second full book will be published probably in December, called Grief Quake.
Ooh.
And I'm going to talk a lot more about grief and recovery and those triggers and all of that, because I think that grief doesn't come from just death. That's the other thing. And grief can get us into a place from a mental health standpoint that can be quite daunting. So those are, I'm just very passionate about both of them. But we grieve lots of things. We grieve if we have a health scare or a very, very difficult diagnosis that we have to live with. I interviewed somebody on my YouTube channel with that last week. It's an amazing story. She's just incredible, as you learn about the struggles she's been through and how she's overcome it. But it's grief. I'm going to interview somebody whose child is a drug addict, and they're grieving the loss of the life they thought they would have with that child. So, it comes from losing your job. So we grieve anything that is a loss. And so, but if we don't deal with those other types of grief in our life, when more grief comes, it just keeps piling on. So it doesn't ever go away. So we have to learn how to deal with it. And that's sort of the thing I think we're not good about, at least in the United States. Maybe you're better in Canada. We're not great here about talking about grief and loss.
No. No, actually, still some of my family members today would rather not talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
You could see they're grieving. I've
Mm-hmm.
asked for years for them to get counseling of some form, or even going to in the church where I attended in Chatham. They have some theophostic prayer ministry, something. Go talk to a counselor, go talk to your pastor, go do something, but
Mm-hmm.
to help get through those moments, right? And they would rather just keep it bottled up inside and then wonder why, here we are years later having anxiety attacks and can't understand why we're having anxiety attacks, but yet not willing to do anything to help yourself.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to get the help as well, and that's a big
Right.
part of it. And I'm speaking from the peanut gallery, because I will do everything in my power to do it first by myself
Mm-hmm.
before I reach out.
Sure.
And like you said, but you have to you have to get into that point where you have to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And it's it's funny because I learned that lesson like years ago, and it's still not easy, right? I
Mhm.
come from a family background where if anybody asks to do something for you, they must want something.
Ah,
That was drilled into my head for decades, and until I found Jesus, and then, oh no, that blesses people to help you. And I'm like, well, how is that possible when I think you want something, right? So
right.
it's all that internal dialogue and all that crap that we believe,
Yes.
that if we just let it go,
Yeah.
and people really do want to help other people.
Yes.
I do 10 times more for others than I do for myself. So I get it. It blesses us to help you.
Hmm.
So reach out for that help.
Yes. Yes. And again, the people in your life want you to get help.
Mhm.
I mean, they want you here. And again, with, like you said, not wanting to ask or not asking or whatever it is, or not dealing with it, truly does put you into that mental health. It becomes, first you have this grief or whatever it is that you're dealing with, that then turn into a mental health issue for you, that if you can process through it and find a healthy way to deal with your emotions. And not all mental health is just emotions. I mean, my husband, again, had bipolar disorder. I mean, he had to be on medication and therapy, but there's no difference with that than it is taking my heart medication, right?
Right.
There's no difference. We've got to get the stigma out, and I think that's why people just don't. They think that there's something wrong with them. They're worthless or something. And my husband used to say, I don't want to be a burden. And I'd say, well, why are you a burden? You
Mhm.
We love you.
Right. Absolutely.
you know
And what people don't realize is that sometimes that medication, the bipolar medication, has to be changed, because I
yes.
know, my cousin, like, hers had to be changed every once in a while because your
Hmm.
body gets used to it, right?
Hmm.
And so when you feel that your loved one is not being themselves, their normal selves on medication, it's trying to, go
Hmm.
back and get like a second opinion, and reevaluate what the situation is, because I think I remember that growing up, like, definitely, I know her medication had to be changed a couple of times just to
Hmm.
keep up with what her body was going through.
Hmm.
So, and you're right, ending the stigma, because it's no different than me being on my blood pressure medication than
Hmm.
somebody taking something for bipolar.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely. But yeah, I don't understand why there's such a waiting list. You know, it's we know that it's there. We know that it's running rampant. So why don't we just, get more people? Of course, people need to be trained too to
Yeah.
properly deal with that. So
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we've got probably backup in medical schools. My mom happens to be a marriage and family therapist. I know she's going to be, I hope she's okay with me telling, she's on LinkedIn. Uh, so she might, and Facebook. She's going to be 79 and she's still almost a full-time therapist. She loves her clients and knows that there's such a need that she wants to keep doing it.
right.
But, I think it's just getting people trained and out there. We just have a backlog of some of that. I know finding a psychiatrist is really hard. And I also know that sometimes, we have to figure out how to work with our health insurance. And sometimes people feel, you know, they don't know how to deal with getting those referrals and, things like that too. So it's really finding a way to help people case manage through what needs to happen because they're already overwhelmed with what's going on in their mind that needs to be physically taken care of.
Right. Absolutely. So, do you do coaching on the side too to help people with mental disorders or people struggling with anxiety?
So I don't do one-on-one coaching. I am going to do some online courses. Um, I have an ebook actually or a workbook that I actually gave away to a grief summit that they had last week. But I am going to do some online group courses with people or in person if I had a big enough group, maybe. And big enough for me means less than 10. Because it's a very personal topic and people need to be able to talk and
Right.
process through. But I do more like workshop type help, and then also motivational speaking and that kind of thing.
Right. Absolutely. I love that. So where is the best place that you want people to reach out to you if they need help?
Sure. So I do have my website, which is www.juliannewilliams.com. I also have a Facebook, which is under my name, Julianne Williams, the Brave Enough community, because we are brave enough to do this every minute, every moment. We just got to make it. We just have to be brave enough. And so you can find me there and also on Instagram. But I would say my website and Facebook are probably the easiest places to find me. And I also have a YouTube channel with podcasts and whatnot on there too.
Awesome. I did not know about the podcast.
Yeah, it's on, like Spotify and all that kind of stuff. It's called Brave Enough.
Brave Enough. Awesome. So
Yeah.
yes, go check that out for sure. Brave Enough on Spotify. Perfect. So, what is the one thing that you wish you would have known before, or what's the one thing that you wish that I'm not going to say differently, um, or the one thing that you really want people to take away from your message and getting what you're doing across to people? What is the one thing that you really want people to understand and know?
So I would say, my biggest mission is around grief recovery and mental health, because for me those are hand in hand. But I really, the one thing that I want to make a difference in the planet on is getting people to recognize grief, what it does to our mental health status, and then also recognizing mental health disorders as a true physical illness that it is, so that we can address that in the same way we would anything else.
Right. I love that. Absolutely. And anybody could have those moments, like people that, they just lost their job on top of their car crashing, on top of, whatever. I call it shit stacking, your
Yeah.
shit stack day.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the day, you're like, what the hell happened? And,
Yeah.
And it's just that fleeting moment that you're like, why am I doing this? Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so, and from that to, and there are people out there that are struggling, like you said, with bipolar, that need the extra help, but it's the stigma around it that needs to end.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I still can't believe here it is, the 20th century, and there's still that stigma, because
I know.
seriously, the crap that we have gone through, and even in the last 20 years, why is that even still there? Like, why is it a thing? It shouldn't
I
be.
I don't know. It's definitely something that I think it's our job now to make that difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, are your children part of your mission as well, or do they do their own thing, or?
So, well, my daughter is an occupational therapy assistant. And so like I said, I worked in and owned nursing homes for 32 years.
Wow.
She's actually a coda in some nursing homes, and she loves the elderly. But definitely, actually, she and I think, are going to do a podcast or YouTube on what it's like to lose a parent and what parents can do to help. So we're going to work on that. But so, yeah, so definitely she is. My son actually is a senior in college, going to be a winemaker.
Ooh.
So he's a little bit more removed from it. He's still in his own life, getting his future set. So, but
Right.
yeah, but definitely, they care very much about it, and they told me they're very proud of me. And I asked them if it was okay if I shared our story publicly, and they
Right.
said yes. If it helps other people, then absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome. And that shows something about them too, because losing a parent to suicide, I'm sure, is not easy.
Mm-mm.
And not to mention that kids can be cruel at school too. So I'm sure
Oh,
they went through their periods at school, or.
it's interesting, because I know that's one of the things that you had to overcome, was that bullying, that it
Mhm.
was very severe and significant at points in your life. And I did not know until about 2 years ago. So just my daughter just turned 25, that there were a group of boys. There were four of them. And someday I hope their parents ask me if it was them. Um, but I did not know the things that they were saying to my daughter.
Wow.
And, we've been open and honest about it being a suicide, because I didn't want them to find out on the playground. It's a small town that we live in. I wanted to be open about it. And so that they didn't need to feel ashamed of anything. And in the end, there were a group of 4 or 5 boys that would say terrible things to her, about how you are so awful that your dad killed himself because of you, things like that. Said terrible things to her, and lots of other things that are not worthy of mentioning in public because they're so disgusting. But if you want, she is a darling young girl. Her face is on my book, so. But she is just the sweetest thing, got the biggest heart, and they hurt her more than I could have ever known, and I feel bad. I don't even say I feel bad. I have moments where I feel like I failed her, because while I did know that there were some things going on and I tried to address it, I guess you can't always address everything. And it has caused her quite a bit of pain. Now she's, like I said, she's grown up and she's just a lovely, lovely young lady. And I think that's probably part of the reason she's so compassionate.
Right. I think when you go through a loss like that, you can't help but be compassionate and want to try and help other people. Wow. Well, this is how your daughter gets back at them. Tell her to write a book. Change the names of the innocent to prove, right? Change the names of the innocent. And right. You know what I'm saying? I'm reading between what I'm not saying, and just really get her story out there, because seriously, that's good therapy right there. I mean, I did that.
Oh, there we go. She can learn from the master.
I didn't write the overcomer facing challenges with faith and courage for nothing.
You're right. You're like, hello.
Sorry, my papers dropped after that excitement.
Oh, I love
Not only did I get to mention my abusive ex, I got to mention, well, their name was changed. I got to mention, what had happened to me in school, and all these boys that, loved to torment the hell out of me. It is good therapy.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna mention that to her when I talk to her tonight.
Well, there you go.
I'm like,
tell her to give me a call.
For you. I know, right? I'm like, I got a mentor for you.
Tell her to hook us up, and I'll give her pointers.
I'm going to.
Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, and of course, we don't condone eye for an eye. But the thing of it is, that's not the point. The point is, like, people have no idea what it's like to be harassed and bullied every day of your life for something that, number one, you can't control, or number two, that if you could control it, like, for instance, mine was I had a food addiction, so I've been overweight pretty much my entire life, and kids can be cruel jerks, and and it's they don't realize, for years I was traumatized by that. Years. Yeah. And still to this day, once in a while, like, I've gotten a lot of help, a lot of therapy, I've done a lot of that myself. Well, with a counselor or with, you name it, I've probably done just about everything to get myself to where I'm at today. And well, thank you. Well, because I didn't, the saying, hurt people hurt people. Yeah, I didn't want to, bleed all over my husband. Yeah. And the funny thing is, my husband he doesn't, okay, so he teases, not makes fun of, teases. Yeah. So there are times, though, that he can go a little bit too far. And which time, in the case, then my trigger comes up, right? And I'm like, stop, just stop. Like, you've hit it, done. Right. And people need to respect those boundaries. And he's really good at that. But for people that don't respect those boundaries, you gotta listen to that person. Because I'm sure those people that bullied your daughter either were clueless or mean, one or the other. And, I always think of this way: how would you want your daughter to be treated? So if, now those guys have daughters of their own, what happened if that happened to their daughter?
That's right. You're 100% right.
Right. my biggest tormentor ended up big, and and and,
you're like
and I'm just like, so my brother actually had talked to this guy, and he goes, yeah, we were pretty rough on your sister, and my brother didn't, I don't know, him and I have this love-hate relationship.
mhm.
We can't say anything bad about, nobody else can say
Right.
bad about the other, but we
Yep.
can.
That's right.
And I don't think he really stood up for me, but he did tell me what this guy had to say. And he goes, yeah, but you should take a look at him, Dorothy. And he goes, he's big around as he is tall. He wasn't skinny like he was in school. So I'm like, what comes around goes around, right?
It does. I mean, we never know what life's going to hold.
Exactly. And so my biggest thing is just be kind no matter what you're doing.
That's right. That's right.
And if you're having a bad day, go meditate before you go talk to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think in this case, you know, they were being just cruel, and
Yeah.
I'm sure they were trying to be cool with each other, you know, like, but it's really not cool. It's really not
Mm-mm.
okay.
No, and it's not. And if your daughter was anything like me, I protected my parents at all costs.
Yeah. Yes. 100%.
And I never told my parents what were going on.
Yeah.
And actually, there's still a lot my parents don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know, and my kids, you know, like you talked about, I mean, it's hard too. You know, they deal with, obviously they miss their dad. They miss the experience of having their dad. They don't know what, you know, they have a lot of grief over what would it have been like? What did I not get that I could, you know, but then they also have a lot of worry because I'm their only parent. And so, you know, they do protect me. I mean, they are very, very protective of me, because I'm it, you know. And so you're right. I think sometimes she probably did hold on to a lot. I know they both do, because they knew that there was a big burden. You know, we all had to grieve together, and it wasn't pretty, you know.
Yeah. But some of the best things in life come out of the ashes, I think, of our grief.
Yes,
Um, and we don't see it right at the beginning.
correct.
And when you're going through something like that,
Yes,
it takes time before you
yes,
can actually see it.
yes.
But without that, we wouldn't have a story to tell. We wouldn't
That's
be
right.
able to help others with that story.
Yep.
Um, and I can remember when my dad was dying, and I was just like, well, there has to be a bigger purpose than this, especially how he died.
Yes.
And I was just like, my mom's like, well, I don't know what it is. I said, well, it's to help other people. And she goes, well, you can do that, but I'm not ready.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when you're ready, the students will appear. So until
Yep.
then,
Hmm.
just focus on yourself.
That's right.
So
Yep.
absolutely. So so you don't have to answer this question if you don't feel
Uh-huh.
like it, but you said that
Mhm.
you had heart surgery back when you were younger.
Yeah.
Is that okay now, or?
Yeah. Actually, you know, it's one of those actually kind of like overcomer stories, which is, you know, I was born with a heart defect, called tetralogy of Fallot, and you know, I had surgery when I was 5 at the Oakland Children's Hospital. Without the surgery, I would not be living. But they also told me that I would probably have some limitations, right? I mean, because I had holes in my heart and this and that, and then I ended up having, you know, scoliosis and autoimmune and all this other stuff. Um, but in the end, I was able to start like running half marathons, and I had 2 kids, and, you know, so it worked out okay. And actually I haven't taken heart medication since my husband, he must be with us right now, since my son was born. So once he was born, I was no longer needing the heart meds. Haven't had to take them at all. And
Okay.
many people who have this particular heart defect have to have several surgeries, and I've been very, very blessed to have had the one when I was 5,
Right.
but not without difficulty. So, you know, it's not like I haven't had other complications over time.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, but I also try to take care of myself. So, you know,
And that is the key, taking care of yourself. I get it.
yeah,
Like I have spent the last 10, 15 years making sure that I take care of myself. I exercise.
Yes.
I do all
Yes.
the right things, and
Exactly.
that doesn't mean that I don't splurge once in a while,
Oh,
but
heck. Oh, everyone who knows me knows I probably drink a little too much wine. So
funny you said that. I was just gonna say something about wine. I never used to drink it. Then all of a sudden, the last couple years, it's just been like, oh, now I like drinking wine. It makes me feel sophisticated, I guess.
doesn't it? Well, and now I got a son that's going to be a winemaker. So I wonder how that happened.
Right? Well, tell me he has to hook us up with some wine over here.
I know, right?
Let's
I
see.
got it. I have his first 3 bottles, so we're getting it.
Oh, there we
Yeah.
go. That's awesome. All right. So we're gonna slowly transition into the
Yes.
fundamental section. For those of you that are normally here with us, Kimberly usually does this section with her guest. Unfortunately, she's had some well, not unfortunately. She's just had something come up. She's fine. I guess I shouldn't have said it that way. She's fine. She's just there's a lot of things going on that needs her attention tonight. So she will not be with us tonight, but that's okay. We're still going to have fun without her. So for those of you that don't know what the fundamentals are, it's basically three your foundational things that you believe in that either makes you or that that is the core that you believe. So tell us what your 3 fundamentals are then, Julia.
Well, mine's 4, but and I
That's
think it's
perfect.
because it's my acronym, which is HOPE, and it's how I anchor, like I talked about earlier, which is the anchor. And
Right.
so H is hope, of heed, like I stop. If I'm not sure what's happening with myself and I'm kind of spiraling, I stop, I heed. And
Right.
so and it gives me a minute just to kind of reset myself and kind of get an idea about what it is that's bothering me or whatever I think I need to be doing. And so that's number 1 is heed. 2 is O is opportunity. Everything always changes. So no matter what, if you don't like the way it is right now, I promise you in 10 minutes, in 10 weeks, 10 months, it's going to be different. So there's always an opportunity for change. So if I
Right.
don't like it, I can rest assured it's going to be different. So I don't have to stay stuck right here. My P is purpose. Like I talked about, doing something bigger than you, knowing that, God says in Ephesians that he made us with his handiwork and that we were well prepared for everything he has brought us to experience here on the earth. And so I know that whatever happens to me, there's going to be a purpose in it. I'm prepared and I can handle it. And then E is execute, which is you got to do it. You can't sit back and wait. So that's my hope, my fundamentals. So
I love that. Look at you with the acronyms here. I love that. It's funny because Kimberly and we did a show that was asked backwards. We had a guest that couldn't show up on time, and so we had her guest be the main guest so that her and I had to do the fundamentals. And I'm like, we asked this of our guests, but we've never actually done it. And it was challenging to put into words exactly what we wanted to do. So I did the standard Greg Bicknell answer, which is love, love, and love.
that too.
Greg is one of our one of our veterans that has completely transformed our lives and gotten us into the veteran world. So when he was on, that's what he said. And so when everybody says that, we call it the Greg Bicknell.
I love it.
We should do a dance.
Is that like a TikTok,
Yeah, like a TikTok. Love, love, love.
Something.
Well, it's funny you said that because okay, so I'm learning TikTok, folks. Okay. I am learning TikTok. It is one of the things that I'm like, I know nothing about it. I know how to do a video. I think I've done 16 now. And it's funny. The one that kind of went poof that had 1,400 views is my one. Okay, so my dad would have turned 70 on March 20th. So we threw a party in his honor, even though he wasn't here. And so we were having a couple beverages, and one of my ex's friends was there. We called him over. He lived in the same town as my brother. And so I said, hey, what are you doing? Come on over. So he did. So we did a toast on TikTok. It was my second video ever. And that one got like 1,400 views. Meanwhile,
Woo!
I can do something that is motivational, and I'm lucky to get 16.
I put one of my son and his girlfriend on there in the like Boston Science of Natural or whatever it was, Boston Museum of Science, and it has like 332,000 views. I'm like,
Wow.
woo!
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just got to find out what makes you people want to watch TikTok, and what is the one thing that you want to see on TikTok? We want to hear from you. Put it in the comments. If you're
Yes.
watching this on the replay, if you're watching it on our Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, doesn't matter. Put it in the comments. I want to know what the one thing is that you watch on LinkedIn, or TikTok. So I know for me, I can get like, if I'm in a bad mood or in a funk and I just need to get out of it, I go on TikTok and I watch all those
Yep.
crazy videos, or those men that think that they can handle a cougar. Like, it's
Yes.
hilarious.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, what would you do? I'm like, boy, you couldn't handle any woman over the age of 40, so don't even bother trying. Not that I'm
There's this
looking,
one
I'm
guy that
happily married, but
have you seen the one guy that he says something and he's like, stay toxic? He gives you like the tip of how to stay toxic in your relationship. That's the one that makes me laugh the most. I watch that. I'm like, oh my gosh, because he's right.
I was just like, boy, you couldn't handle a 40-year-old. You don't need to know what a cougar is like.
Yeah.
Uh, oh, that was fun to
We got
say. uh, you're kind of breaking up.
But did you leave me? Did you lose me on my traveling day today again?
You're back.
Okay,
There
good.
we go. Yes. Oh, that was fun though. We're gonna have a fun show with making what is our top 10 TikTok videos. Maybe that's what we should come back and do.
Oh yeah, let's do
Who
it.
knows?
Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
it.
we're gonna have to
I
do.
got some
We're
good
gonna.
ones.
Awesome. Give me a little bit
I'm
of
like,
time to really get myself on the platform and really understand how to use it in the proper things, and then we'll go for it. And then we'll do like a TikTok thon. Who knows? I don't know. TikTok something.
perfect.
Since it
Well,
seems to be the
I'm gonna
number one
follow you.
platform.
I'm gonna go find you and follow you now.
Oh, perfect. Yes, I will follow you. Is it just your name on TikTok?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's like
Oh,
at Julianne Williams 22.
okay. And mine's just Dorothy Gray Modell. Dorothy Ann Gray Modell, sorry, on TikTok.
Dorothy and
So
Grandma Dell. Okay, I'll
yeah,
find it when we're
yeah.
done. I'll go on. I'll go and watch all your videos.
there's there isn't much there, and I have to say, like, I can go live on here. I can go live on Facebook
Mm-hmm.
and not have a problem, but TikTok, because you got to keep it to like really short. So
Yes. Yes.
eh, people's
You do. You learn
attention
to talk
spans are short.
fast.
Yes.
Yep.
Get your thing in and out, and get your message in and out, not thing, sorry, message in and out.
Yep.
And people love that. Oh,
Yep.
wow. Well, I just want to thanks to our guests that have been in the comments here. A lot of great people here, a lot of great comments. And thank you so much, Julianne, for coming on the show and sharing your story. And where can people buy your book?
Okay. So my book Head Above Water is on Amazon. It's Head Above Water: A Journey of Emerging Hope. So that is on Amazon. You can get it there. And my new book, I just got my landing page. It's on my Facebook if you want to pre-order it. I'll have it on my website in the next couple of days, I'm sure, and it can be pre-ordered there.
Perfect. So definitely go to www.juliannewilliams.com. Go get your pre-order and go to Amazon and get her first book. And stay tuned, because she said she has a couple other books coming out too. So stay tuned for that. And perhaps even your daughter might be reading book now that I've encouraged that.
I'm going to make the connection. she's on LinkedIn, so I'm going to be doing that invite. Like, here's the person you should know.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. I love it. Anyways, it's like I said, it's been an absolute pleasure. And what's the last thing that you want, anything last words that you want to leave our guests with?
I think it's just, you matter. No matter how you feel, if you're having moments of where you just don't think that your life is worth anything, I just want to tell you, you matter. You're loved. You're needed. Stay with us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. And with that, stay unstoppable in all that you do. And we'll see you same time, same channel next week. Bye for now.